Learn about the hospitality industry from someone who knows the interests and issues oh so well. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio. We're focused on the hospitality and tourism industry, and we're visiting with Martha Hunn, the Chief Executive Officer of the Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association.
That's right.
Good morning, Martha.
Hey, good morning to you.
Great to
Good
see
to
you.
be
It's
here.
so exciting to think about. So much going on right now as we're in mid-April, rolling into what will be a very, very exciting weekend. This past weekend, Easter weekend, was amazing. The beachhead, spectacular.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good time. Great time to be in tourism. It really is. It really feels like I've been in this job 8 years, and right now it really feels that this is the time for tourism, that the stars kind of seem to be aligning for tourism. It's recognized across South Carolina that tourism is floating the boat for South Carolina, that tourism is the industry that we need to pay attention to, and what a great thing that is. I said to a group I was speaking with the other day, I do a lot of public speaking, and I was talking to them that I know that I'm seeing pigs fly out there, and the devil must be freezing, because actually tourism is finally beginning to get the kind of recognition that it needs to get, and hooray for that, and that just only speaks well for our future.
Right.
As an industry, our future as a destination, as a community of folks that are living and breathing that every day. And exciting.
Martha, I'm so glad you said that, and obviously I want to focus on you a little bit, but I want to ask you that question while it's fresh. Why does the rest of the state, or why does Columbia recognize that tourism is so important? I mean, how much, when we talk about tourism and the economic impact of tourism, how does it impact the state's revenue, or how does it impact the state financially?
Oh, gosh. Well, you're asking my opinion, okay, so I'll give you what I think.
Opinions can change, yeah.
But what I think is it has to do with timing. I was speaking with a good friend of mine, Joe Woodle, which you've probably interviewed Joe before. He's with Partners Economic Development Corporation, and we work together on a lot of different things. And Joe shared something with one of our groups the other day, that he attended an annual type of event with the Department of Commerce. And that event traditionally is very manufacturing oriented, very typical industry type oriented. Just for the tourism industry to be recognized as an industry in South Carolina has been a major ordeal for us, you know, who are out here advocating tourism every day. And Joe said that at the most recent annual event for the Department of Commerce, typically it's always this industrial manufacturing type focus, that this year, for the first year, it was all about tourism.
Wow.
And, you know, it's because you're not seeing the manufacturing jobs out there across the country. This isn't just a South Carolina thing, he said. This is, you know, across our nation. So what can you hang your hat on? You can hang your hat on what's performing. And there's no question that tourism is performing. So, and our governor recognizes that. He's made, you know, major strides, major efforts to show us, to demonstrate that he recognizes the strength of tourism and the need for us to really focus on how do we grow tourism. Most recently, the governor initiated a study, a South Carolina competitiveness study, that was led by a gentleman named Michael Porter out of Harvard University. That study identified industrial clusters, and there were 4, and one of them was tourism. There again, the first step for us to really see this tourism cluster approach, and what that meant was that we really need to focus on developing, looking at our weaknesses in tourism, growing ourselves there. Let's focus on the things we can improve, and also how do we build industries that work well around tourism and build that cluster. And so how great is that, you know, that we're seeing that coming from this study, and we're already now seeing movement toward building the tourism cluster. Just recently, last week, a week or so ago, I joined a group in Columbia. University of South Carolina and Coastal Carolina University have teamed up to try to acquire $2 million in lottery money. They already have the $2 million private match to try to develop a tourism technology center to integrate reservation systems. Reservation systems don't talk to one another for tourism. So, went to this group, Brad Dean, several folks presented, did a beautiful job presenting this information to a team of people who will make this decision, and they're folks with doctor's degrees and whatnot from across the country that will recommend whether we're going to get this lottery money. I thought the presentation went great. What that will do, if you think of it, the simplest way to think of it is when we first had ATM machines, ATM cards you could only use at your bank's ATM machine, right?
Right.
But then the banking industry came together and decided to develop protocols that will allow those systems to speak to one another. So now you have an ATM card, you can go to any machine for a fee and get your money, right?
In the world.
Same type of concept, but developing reservation systems that will be able to speak to one another with that protocol. And so now, let's look at Orlando. Why is Disney so strong? Well, Disney, all their systems speak to one another. They're strong for a lot of reasons, but that's one of the reasons, is their systems speak to one another. Well, now what if we develop that universal system here? The Myrtle Beach area being the laboratory for it. What an advantage we have. New things happening, a new day for tourism, and wonderful opportunities for us as an industry now, you know, to be able to grow what we do, improve what we do, because we have to. I use this term a lot, so forgive me, but we really have to kick butt at this. I mean, we really have to get out here and improve what we do. And I've got some other things we can talk about of the Hospitality Association and where we're looking for the light and trying to decide how, what are ways that this destination can set itself apart.
Well, you know, and I hate to go, I want to go back to that question about the economic impact. And of course, you point out some very important, when the industry's down throughout the state and surely focusing on tourism, and it has an economic impact. But how, I mean, for viewers in southeastern North Carolina, for a viewer in Laurinburg who wants to come down to Myrtle for the weekend, how, or let's say they're from Hartsville and coming down, they're keeping their money in South Carolina, how is that money flow through the properties, the hospitality properties on the Strand, and then how does it have an economic impact that'll help in Columbia? And that may be, as you said, a Brad Dean question.
But this is a great question. One of the things that we really love about tourism, it's a homegrown product.
Right.
Okay? You've got local people creating this local product with local people working in the business. This doesn't go outside of our marketplace. This is all local. So if you are a South Carolinian and you want to travel in the state of South Carolina, it's wonderful because you're building your own economy. It's great.
Sure.
Good question for Brad, too, to add his insights to it. But we just heard from a gentleman, Michael McNulty out of Ireland, about a year ago, and he came down and helped us to look at regional tourism and how do we begin to break down our own barriers that we have, let's say between North and South Carolina, for Pete's sake. A visitor that comes here, they don't know when they've crossed over the state line, except for they might see a little sign, but that's about it. How can we begin to market ourselves better for the international visitor? And what is the attraction for tourism to really grow as an industry? And it is that it's a homegrown product. He shared that with us at this talk that he gave. And what a jewel we have here that, you know, to me, when I think about it, I grew up here. I grew up here. I spent my summers in Horry County. I spent my summers in Myrtle Beach and in North Myrtle Beach. And I remember before corporate America found the Myrtle Beach area, my grandparents had one of the first beach homes here, and back when I think the lots were maybe $500 or something like that. You know, I don't know, but something ridiculous like that. And so I've watched as a stakeholder, as a resident and a lover of the area, watched it grow. And I love, you know, being here, and I love seeing what happens to Myrtle Beach, and what a beautiful place it is to be, and how we want to consciously grow what we do, and how folks who move here from somewhere else, they moved here because, for the most part, they probably were a visitor first, and they chose to be here. And if we grew up here, we all need to understand the value of tourism, and never should we ever see a bumper sticker on our vehicle that says, "I'm local, go home, tourists, for Pete's sake." Never should we ever see that, because we need to recognize that every guest that comes to this place is gold for us, and treat them like, you know, kings and queens, because they're the reason why our taxes are lower for property and such. than other areas of South Carolina, why our economy is strong, why we have jobs. We had our annual job expo a week or so ago at the Myrtle Beach Convention Center. We had 3,500 jobs in the room that day. Wow. 3,500 jobs in the room. Who can say that any given day in South Carolina to have available 3,500 jobs? You know, what a great thing.
Absolutely. And that, you know, it segues so well, and I hate to flip back to last week. We had a guest in who you know well, Kate Ferreira, who was talking about not only the impact of the gold aspect of a visitor, but making that a special trip for that visitor. So they not only would they go back and think about it the rest of their lives, their trip to Myrtle, which they do maybe annually, but also the impact it had on making memories that'll stick with them.
Well, we are that way. I mean, when we look in our own photo albums, and she and I, we teach a customer service class together as part of her community concierge program. When we talk about this to the folks who are taking the class, when we look at our own photo albums, what are they? What are they pictures of? Our major events in our lives, and most often those are also our trips, our vacations that we take. You know, that's when we're having fun. Those are our memories. And so if we are not doing everything in our power to make certain that that guest who comes here, who saved their pennies and dollars all year long, you know, to come to our place, come to our home and enjoy and visit and create memories, if we're not doing everything we can to make sure that's a great experience, you know, those things work for and against you. Every guest that comes here that has a great experience, you can't pay for the kind of advertising that's going to create. That's tenfold.
You're right.
Tenfold. Yeah. Every guest that comes here that has a bad experience, every marketing dollar that we spent to bring that person here is money down a black hole. That's how converse, you know, those two situations are. You know, Kate serves with me in a core team that we're working on a vision for the Grand Strand to become known as the best in hospitality. And we began looking at this about a year and a half ago. Our board of directors began to tell us they thought, you know, what's something that we can do right now and really help ramp up how we perform as a destination. And they said, you know, really let's beef up our customer service training. Let's beef up, you know, those things that revolve around how we treat the guest. And one of the things that we have begun developing is a vision that the Grand Strand become known as the best in hospitality. There's so many levels that have to happen for that to be the case. And it begins with excellent training, of course, and consistently offered all over the Grand Strand for our properties that may or may not have that within their property, may just want something supplemental, but really solid training, and we provide that, and so does the Chamber and others do. Ours is a customer service certification and a leadership, management into leadership certification that we provide that really focuses on how we prepare ourselves every day for serving a guest. It really focuses more on us as individuals and what we bring to the table when we go to the job every day, because it's a challenging job to serve others. Yet what more rewarding job is it than to serve others? How do we prepare every day for that? You get the tools for that in our customer service training. But we also are developing an award that Kate and several others are working on with us, and we're in the midst of it right now, in fact, and we're beginning with the lodging industry first. But it's called the Best in Hospitality Award. And begin with lodging, and then in years to come we'll expand it to all the other segments, we hope, of the hospitality industry. And it's very intense. And it begins with they have to qualify to be invited to participate. The business cannot have received any formal complaints with the Joint Ethics Committee, which is manned by people from the Chamber and the Hospitality Association, or with the Better Business Bureau. If they get through that SEV, then they're invited to participate, and they apply. And they apply by answering a series of very in-depth questions about how they serve the guest, how they treat their employees, how their mission is communicated and their vision and their goals, and how they understand their market. And then we have site visits that take place with those properties. And then in the end, which what Kate is in charge of, is a secret shopper. And we'll award that on May 26th for the first time. So just the beginning of that. It also requires, you know, everyone who lives here and works here to understand that we have to honor our guests.
Martha, y'all are thinking 20, 30 years in the future, or even 10 years.
We are.
You're saying there is a chance for Myrtle Beach to be a world-class hospitality and tourism destination. There is a chance.
You got it.
We've got examples like the Cypress Inn.
Sure.
You've got examples. I mean, you know, if we take AAA or Mobile, and if that means anything,
it does.
The Radisson currently, maybe the Marriott down the road, there may be some other facilities. Kate was talking about 5-star and 5 diamond locations when she took the 12 students out to Vegas a couple weeks ago. Those aspects. And when we talk about world-class destinations, if Mobile and AAA, I mean, this is a big deal.
It's a big deal, and it starts with saying you want it. You know, anytime you're doing anything, you have to identify, we want this. This is our goal. You know, if we're serious about getting the international visitor, we got to do this, okay? And that's our next greatest area to go after is the international guest. So how are we going to do that? We've got to say we want it. We've got to say we're going to ramp this up. And this process that we have with Best in Hospitality actually begins to articulate standards. Those questions are all about standards. And then every year you just edge those up because you don't want to be in any way stagnant. You don't want to become complacent. So every year you edge them up. We're real excited about that. We really are. And you have said what I have said is that I look at this as a 10-year plan. You know, because you do begin by identifying it and saying you want it. You have lots of properties that are already performing that way that set those standards, and then those people that maybe didn't understand, these are some of the things I can do to improve my property. Now they'll have it on hand. We'll provide it at all times to anyone who wants to look at it. They can ask themselves the same questions and really focus on improving what we do every day.
Real quick, Martha, we got about 10 minutes. 15 minutes has flown by. Yourself, you grew up in Horry County. You stayed here almost your entire life.
Right.
You've been at the helm of the Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association for 8 years.
Right.
What had you been doing prior to that?
Well, my background is similar to yours in that my education is in political science.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. I love studying politics. My senior year in high school, I worked in Washington for Strom Thurmond as a page and lived up there for a little stint. And what a great experience that was. I loved it, and it really gave me the bug for the political arena. Now, it's a bit of a, a dream world, because when you really become engaged in politics, you see that it's a very challenging place to be and can be, pretty ugly at times.
Oh, yeah.
But you need to know those things.
Right.
And I grew up in a home where my dad was in politics. He served in the state legislature too. So I always kind of knew that I liked that. And you also wonder as a teenager maybe, or young adult, what else can I do? And I also thought, well, maybe I could do television. I didn't know. You never know till you try.
That's right.
And applied for a job as a weather person at a Wilmington station one time, and it was a really neat thing because the general manager said, you know what, we're going to hire a meteorologist, but he said, I want to encourage you to continue to try, when he did the little screen test type deal. So I did continue. I worked for, I was one of the first people hired to work for WGSE TV 43 with their startup newscast, and was hired as a reporter 10 hours a week while I was finishing school and running a dress shop. And we worked at night, and he offered me the job to come in and anchor, and I think it was like $5 an hour or something. I don't even remember.
Martha.
So I left my regular good-paying job. My husband and I took a walk down the beach and decided we were going to do this to work full-time for TV 43. And my first day I came in, and he said, hey, sit down, you're going to write this newscast, you'll produce today, and you're going to anchor tonight. And that just absolutely floors you, and it was awful. It was so awful. I have the tape of it, but that was my beginning in television, and I worked in television for quite a few years, and worked for News 13 also as well, anchoring and producing news, and loved it. And then next step, I was offered the position to be the first Horry County Public Information Officer. And I did that job for a couple of years. The timing was bad, and it was the first ever person to have that job, and I don't make any bones about it. There was my lesson in politics.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very much eaten up.
Martha.
But the beauty of it was, there's always a beauty in everything you go through. I learned so much, but also I don't regret it at all. And And during the process of them eliminating the position, deciding they didn't want me anymore, it was very visible in the media, having been a member of the media.
Yeah.
And I got some wonderful job offers, and this one came right at the end when I was about to actually accept another position. And this was the highest risk, but offered the greatest payoff, a couple friends said. And so I took the job and have loved it, absolutely loved it. So that's kind of been my track.
That's a great track.
Great husband, wonderful daughter.
Yeah.
My husband's from Heidelberg, Germany. He's
Ooh.
German. And he's opened a whole new world for me from day one.
And you all met?
We met here in Myrtle Beach. His dad lived here, and he moved over here when he was 18, I think, and couldn't speak a word of English. And,
oh, wow.
His name is Ralph
Yeah.
Hunn, and he's the director of operations for Town Square, which is a Divine Dining Group.
Yeah.
Set of clubs.
Sure.
Right there in the heart of Myrtle Beach at 19th Avenue North.
I know it well. I ate there last
and
Friday.
Kings Highway.
Yeah.
That's right. So my husband's there, and my daughter is 15 and a freshman at Myrtle Beach High School, and a wonderful girl. And
how exciting, Martha.
so love my life.
You've kept everyone here.
And
That's
the rest of my
Your
family's in Conway.
Across the waterway.
Mom and
yeah.
Dad and brothers and sister are all over Conway with their families.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
How exciting to have stayed here in the area to Maine. And you talked about the locally owned and operated aspect of so many of the businesses that are members of the Hospitality Association, so many of the businesses that are members of the Chamber of Commerce, so many of the golf courses and other even hospitality members that are members of Golf Holiday. There's a heck of a lot of folks that have kept that money here in the area.
You know, there is such a uniqueness to the Grand Strand, and I believe, you know, the Grand Strand's tourism success has been quite a phenomenon. And looking back at the history, you know, I believe it has so much to do with that local commitment, that local ownership. You know, organizations like mine, we're one of the largest of our kind in the country to be in such a small town with such a small population. And it has something to do, I think, with the fact that you have a lot of staying power and commitment from folks who live here. They own these properties, and you don't have a lot of turnover in that at all. And so you have boards that will stay with you and work with you. I have a 32-member board of directors that I work with every day, and they are so committed to this. I mean, I'm so proud of how they come together. You know, they're tremendous competitors out here, and yet they sit together every month and on a daily basis, and they collaborate on how do we improve what we do here in this marketplace, and they come together in consensus so often on issues that we need to move forward on. So what a joy it is, you know, to work for those folks, and I think that has a lot to do with the success of the Grand Strand. Your Chamber of Commerce, your Hospitality Association, Golf Holiday, Partners, Economic Development Corporation, Golf Course Owners Association, Oceanfront Property Owners Association, your chambers, all work together, and more so today, I think, than ever before. And that's been our history. That is what makes us work today.
Martha, we've got 2 minutes. If a viewer worked for a business locally and knew they weren't a member of the Hospitality Association, why would they want to encourage their boss, or why would they even want to think themselves, if they're a business owner, about becoming a member of the Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association?
Wow. Thank you for letting me talk about it. I love that. You know, that is a great question. I get asked that question every day, and it really depends on the kind of business that you are. If you are specifically in hospitality and tourism, if you're a hotel, a restaurant, a theater, a golf course, an attraction, in that core hospitality business world, we're working for your issues every day. That's my job, is to listen more than anything. That's my mission. I'm the voice. We are the voice. Everybody that works for the association on the board, in our office, we're the voice. So in order to be the voice, we've got to listen to what your needs are and represent you to the best of our ability out here to councils of government, to state and federal government, and also to the media and to the general public. That's our job, and to do things that benefit you in this industry. Now, if you're a company that wants to join the association to be a part of what we do and to connect with those aforementioned businesses, and that's a major player in the Hospitality Association, are businesses like yours and others that want to connect, there's no better place because we provide the opportunities like no other organization for networking, for being involved in the hospitality industry. Decision makers for the industry are involved in our organization because we're providing every month at our membership meetings the information that they need to do business every day, and we shake it up and keep it interesting. You know, it's that old news thing, you know, keep it exciting and fresh. And so then those folks that want to connect do so through us.
That's wonderful. Martha, if you were not the Chief Executive Officer of the Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association, what do you think you'd be doing? You've had this position for 8 years.
Oh, wow. That's an answer for God above.
No, that's right. What would you be doing?
I really don't know. And people ask you that. They say, oh, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I think God laughs at that, you know, because He's got His own plan for us. So that's it. It's a faith walk for me, and every day I love what I do, and I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. I have no idea where I would be beyond this, and I know that if it's supposed to be something else that I would know it, but I eat, drink, live, and breathe it because I believe in it. And so I think when you love what you do, it becomes very much you, very much a part of you. So I don't have an answer for you. That's you know, right. Up in there.
We stumped her on one. I hate to do that.
That's okay. It's a good one to stump me on.
That's right. If you want to be a part of hospitality, either directly or indirectly, give the Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association a ring. Martha, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Martha Hunn coming up next. We want to thank Martha Hunn for working so hard to represent the interests and issues of the 700-plus members of the Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association and making today's Carolina People so special.